An awareness of menopause can be traced all the way back to the ancient Greeks. The term now widely used to describe this phase, menopause, comes from the Greek words men, meaning month, which is related to the word moon, and poses, meaning to cease or stop. Since the average lifespan was lower back then, there's little information about menopausal women. Menopause was considered a natural occurrence up until the 17th century. Over the next 300 years, views evolved and medical practitioners began to perceive this stage of life as a disease. Around the year 1700, doctors began to write about a condition they called the end of menstruation as the onset of various diseases. These doctors used words like cessation of the periodical discharge and decline of life. In other words, they began writing about a syndrome of symptoms and problems that affects only one gender, women, at a specific point in their lives. Although the concept was about 100 years old, the term menopause wasn't used until around 1821, when it was coined by a French doctor named Charles Pierre-Louis de Galden. He studied the biological and psychological effects of menopause, and his research resulted in many negative perceptions. Dr. de Galden listed 50 menopause-related conditions, some of which sound ridiculous to modern ears, such as epilepsy, nymphomania, gout, hysterical fits, and cancer. Although there are not many first-person accounts of how women aged in the 19th century, there was plenty of discussions about menopause among doctors. The first complete book on menopause was written in the 1800s by a British physician named Sir Edward Tilt. He categorized menopause as a disease with 137 different symptoms. He presumably prescribed opium and morphine, carbonated soda, and lead acetate injections into the vagina to menopausal women. In his second edition, The Change of Life in Health and Disease, the author believed that menopause could cause alcoholism or mania and even murderous violence in women. A Scottish surgeon, John Lazar, believed that the ovaries caused problems in menopause, and the solution was to remove them. Between 1825 and 1854, this surgeon surgically removed the ovaries of women. He performed 200 ovarectomies, and he killed 89 women in the process. In the middle of the 20th century, menopause was recognized as a disease, and this new social perspective was related to a breakthrough technology in medicine, which was synthetic estrogen. Menopause as a disease created an environment for the medicalization of menopause. However, little attention is paid to women's personal experience of menopause or insight into a woman's understanding of this experience. In 1966, Robert Wilson wrote the best-selling book Feminine Forever, in which he claimed that the menopause was an estrogen deficiency disease that should be treated with estrogen replacement therapy to avoid the otherwise unavoidable living decay. In his book, Feminine Forever, Dr. Robert Wilson stated, instead of being condemned to witness the death of their own womanhood, they will remain fully feminine, physically and emotionally, for as long as they live. Menopause is curable. He also wrote, all postmenopausal women are castrates. But with HRT, a woman's breasts and genital organs will not shrivel. She will be much more pleasant to live with and will not become dull and unattractive. The medicalization of menopause became widespread in the 1970s. Menopausal attitudes are shifting. both within and outside of the medical community. And it is, though, good to recognize how the history of menopause influences some of the stigma that we see today.